Welcome to the Mills Knows Bills podcast. My name is Mills Bender. I'm the founder and CEO of Mills Knows Bills, where we help you, variable income earners, master your money in 90 days. The point of this podcast is to help you make the most of your fluctuating income so you can stop living paycheck to paycheck, pay off your debt twice as fast, and get on track toward reaching both your personal and professional financial goals. Now, as I continue to grow my team here at MKB, you may have some guest hosts from time to time. However, our goal does not change. Whether we're bringing in a guest speaker, having an in-depth conversation about our personal finances, or talking about a topic that is of interest to you, our goal is to help you master your money. Welcome back to the Mills Knows Bills podcast, where we answer burning financial questions for business owners. I'm the host and CEO of MKB, Mills Bender, and this is actually our final episode of season 4. With that, I wanted to do a different perspective. And so we actually have one of my team members on the podcast with me today. This is Gallo. He's one of our sales and account managers. And the reason I wanted to bring him in is because he has a different perspective that a lot of blue collar business owners often forget. And that is taking care of their people. So before we get there, Gallo, take a moment, introduce yourself, what you do here at MKB.
Sure. I'm Gallo. As previously mentioned, thank you for having me on the podcast, Mills. I am, as mentioned, the sales and account manager here at MKB, one of two. Basically, I'm there to facilitate the conversations between clients and their fractional CFO. I'm also, lead sales guy. So I'm out there networking, trying to build an established network in order to grow the business and scale. One of the many reasons I am here at MKB is because we have room for growth. We practice what we preach here. So
yeah, that's good. And I'm glad you're here because here at MKB, we find ourselves marketing and networking towards blue collar business owners. And that's just happens to make up most of our portfolio. You actually have a background working in a blue collar business. And so although you're not a business owner or haven't been a business owner, I mean, now technically you are because you're running your own book, but in your previous life, you were in blue collar. And so tell us a little bit from your perspective, what that was like as an employee.
Sure. Yeah. So a lot of the problems in one of my various roles, for example, let me just break it down. For example, in one of my roles, there was no room for growth for me. It's unfortunately one of the reasons why I'm here at MKB. Not unfortunately, unfortunately, but you know what I mean. One of the reasons why is because, I had multiple conversations with my previous boss, and he would say to me, he would create word promises that would never come to fruition. And it was always very frustrating. I held out for years on end, hoping that something would happen. I had faith in him. I had faith in the business. Nothing wrong in particular. It's just, I wasn't, the main problem why I didn't have room for growth is because his finances weren't really managed. And unfortunately, when you're not scaling properly, a few episodes ago, I was listening in to Mills speak about, your life goals. If your life goals are off or you don't know, or you don't have a goal, then you have nothing to strive for. You have no steps to take towards that process. Yeah. So when he didn't really have a goal that, it allowed me or didn't allow me to have a goal of my own. And that's very frustrating.
It is frustrating. And I think it's important that we talk about that frustration, because one of the biggest issues I see with my clients and the reason why they're unable to scale is because they don't have good labor. They don't have team members with good work ethic, or they can't find more with more work ethic. And so it's kind of like a cart horse situation, right? If you're not managing your finances well, then you can't retain your good workers. And if you can't retain your good workers, then you can't continue to scale and maintain your finances
and offer a quality product at the same time as well.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
Yeah, definitely a key, coming from my perspective. I know that everybody in, non-education work, blue collar work, things of these natures, they're always advocating for more money. Maybe not necessarily more money, but certain incentives would definitely help.
benefits
or a timeline, right?
Yeah.
Hey, within 6 months, within 6 months, let's have a conversation about you stepping into XYZ role, right? Let's see the steps that you need to take, the steps that I need to take in order to achieve that, right? But again, he didn't have his goals, which didn't allow me to have mine. Very frustrating.
Yeah. And your people are the lifeline of your business, regardless of what business you're in. They're your biggest asset. And so you need to make sure that you're taking care of them, but you need to also make sure that you're being a good financial steward of your revenue and able to not just maintain their pay, but retain them through things like bonuses and benefits and things like that, and give them opportunities for growth. So that way you can continue to scale your business. And what a concept, own a business, not a job. Learn how to delegate. And so you have this unique perspective of being on the other side of it. Even though you weren't a blue collar business owner, and we work with blue collar business owners, you see the perspective of how poor money management affects not just the owner of the business, but the entire team. And so
morale becomes lower,
yeah,
right? The quality of work just begins to get lower. People become unhappy, myself included. For example, I was, without boasting, his best worker, and I'm no longer there. I'm here now.
Yeah.
And fortunately, MKB is now reaping the benefits of my hard work. But
exactly. So you made that switch though. And so how are you leveraging that experience in your role? What are some of the things that you have identified being the sales and account manager that you're able to pour into some of the prospects that you're speaking with?
It's interesting. Not being a fractional CFO myself, obviously I don't crunch numbers and analyze data like that. Interesting. It's an interesting way to answer it. I can relate more to the blue collar business owner, right? When they say things like, oh, I don't know where my money's coming from, right? That you need to know that. So you know where it's going as well, right?
You relate in a way, but you relate in a way that others don't tend to really understand.
Yeah. So, I mean, typically if you're right out of college and, you have a fancy degree, you start a nice business, you're making big buku bucks, right? You can't really relate to your employees, for example, right? But having an employee's perspective, and the longer I work at MKB, the more, even just sitting in and listening to conversations, the more, you just know more and offer more. And then I also offer, the relatable side of things in order to make people feel more at ease.
You bridge the gap that they often don't think about, which is how their poor decisions are impacting the rest of their team. And I think that's critical. Some of the other poor decisions that we come across, and you and I were just talking about this earlier today, it's a societal norm for a business owner to have a bookkeeper and an accountant. And they feel like check, I'm good, but they're still struggling financially and making poor financial decisions, even though they have those two roles in place. And I think it's a common misconception. I have my bookkeeper, I have my accountant, I'm golden, but there's a problem in that. So let's talk about that problem. What is the role of a bookkeeper and accountant? Let's start there.
Sure. So bookkeepers and accountants, obviously they crunch your numbers. They just kind of, they're reactive planning, right? So basically just minimizing tax burdens, just checking that box, as Mills mentioned, right? To just, bing, ding, ding. The difference between what a bookkeeper and a CPA or an accountant does that we do differently. Sorry for that word jumble.
That's
there.
All right. We're human.
Is we provide proactive financial planning on a weekly basis. So we look at your numbers and we plan ahead. We tell a story with your numbers, that analyzed data, and we make sure that we write each chapter with you so you can have the ending of that book that you want.
Yeah. And I think that's the biggest thing, because business owners think that their bookkeepers or accountant is meant to help give that story.
Well, that's the other thing too, didn't mean to interrupt, but a lot of times, well, first of all, we're talking about checking boxes. I'm a small business owner. I have a bookkeeper and accountant. The step before that is a lot of these business owners manage their own finances. Do
they?
Well, manage is a strong word, but you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So they they crunch their numbers. Oh, I did the Quicken thing and it's all my numbers are good. My taxes are good for next year. That's it, right? Now you've reached the step where you get into an accountant and a bookkeeper. They're essentially doing that. And that's it, right? You're paying them for that. In-house at MKB is the difference is we plan ahead.
Yeah.
Right. We're not just checking that box. We're creating the boxes.
There you go. Yeah. Yeah, I like it.
Yeah. Great minds.
So what do you feel like? Let's end this episode with a word of advice to the blue collar business owner out there from a previous blue collar employee. If you could give them one word of advice, if you were still in that industry, what would it be?
Communicate with your employees. Obviously, business dependent, but I would say at least on a monthly basis. Personal goals, business goals. Open the conversation to them. See if they have personal goals, right? Everybody is number one in their own life, right?
Yeah.
So as a business owner, you're looking out for number one. How do I make money? How do I make sure this doesn't tank, right? And then, a couple thoughts down the line is I need to be able to pay my employees. Well, these employees are also thinking about their mortgage and, their pets. Maybe they want to have children. I want to have children one day, right? And being in the previous job that I had, I would never have had that opportunity, unfortunately. But everything happens for a reason. I'm here. Yeah. Mills knows bills. Life moves on.
Yeah. So take care of your people, have conversations with your people. And remember, it's not just your responsibility to manage your finances well for yourself. It's your responsibility to manage them well for your people. If you have any questions about how you can get started, or maybe you just want to learn more about Gallo's background, you can send him an email directly, gallo@millsknowsbills.com. Schedule a free call with him and see how you can be a better financial steward of your own money. Thanks for joining us on this final episode of season 4. We look forward to catching you next time.
Money, money, money.